everyone knows Lauryn Hill was a big deal back then. She won Grammys, got praised by critics, and her album The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill was played non-stop everywhere. But how did one of the most famous artists of her time suddenly disappear from the spotlight almost instantly?
All three members dropped solo albums. Lauryn Hill's album has the most success. But then she stops dropping albums. I mean, she had like the MTV Unplugged album, but she doesn't really drop a real follow-up to this diamond-selling album. You guys are still close. Did she tell you why she stopped making albums?
She just felt uninspired.
People are saying Diddy might have played a part in Lauryn Hill's rise and sudden fall. It sounds wild at first, but when you look closer, his name keeps showing up around artists who shot up quickly and then disappeared just as fast. For years, there have been rumors about artists being blacklisted, deals falling apart, and talent pushed out of the spotlight. And often, Diddy seems to be connected to these stories. There's a long list of names, from Day 26 to Danny Dane, and many others who were once rising stars but are barely talked about now. So, could Lauryn Hill be another name on that list? Lauryn's career was built on honesty and standing up against industry pressure. Could she have clashed with powerful people behind the scenes? Did refusing to follow the usual industry rules get her blacklisted? Was it her relationship with Wyclef while he was married? Or maybe her outspoken comments about white people? There was also a lawsuit that drained her, a cult leader who isolated her from everyone, and most intriguingly, what does MC Lyte know? She's reportedly mentioned behind the scenes that someone, possibly Diddy, might have played a role in pushing Lauryn out of the music world. So, did Lauryn and Diddy ever have direct contact? Actually, yes, several times. Lauryn Hill started the Refugee Project, a nonprofit helping at-risk urban youth, and Diddy was on its board of trustees. In 2023, both performed at the Roots Picnic in Philadelphia. Diddy performed with the Roots, and Lauryn celebrated the 25th anniversary of the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Aside from that, there's no solid record of their connection, but the talk is that, like with many others, Diddy might have helped get Lauryn blacklisted. If that's true, it's heartbreaking. Lauryn was special. She knew from a young age that she wanted to be a star. At just 13, she performed at the Apollo Theater in New York City, singing the Jackson 5's Who's Loving You. She was nervous and struggled, even getting booed by the crowd. Still, she didn't quit. In high school, she joined a hip-hop group called The Fugees, started by her Haitian friend Praz. It began with Praz and a girl named Marcy, who brought Lauryn in. Later, Praz's cousin and Wyclef Jean joined. They balanced school, made demos, and landed good gigs. By the end of the year, 3 record labels wanted to sign them. Besides music, Lauryn acted too, appearing in Sister Act 2 with Whoopi Goldberg. At her peak, she also faced controversy. Rumors spread that she said she would rather die or starve her kids than have white people listen to her music. That claim hurt her career, but she tried to explain herself on The Howard Stern Show.
No, I think that it was probably taken out of context. What I was saying is that I make my music for young black youth because I'm a young black youth myself, and there's a message in my songs.
Yes.
And that's for people who look and come from the same areas that I do. That doesn't mean that my music isn't universal.
So you don't mind white people? So you never said, I don't want white people to buy my music?
I mean, I'm not stupid. You know, I'm a musician, but I like to consider myself a businesswoman.
I mean, your manager's a white guy, right?
Yeah, he is.
Right.
So what was said?
But even though Lauryn faced a lot of criticism back then, the Fugees still won 2 Grammys. One for Best R&B Performance, and another for Best Rap Album. Surprisingly, they broke up when they were at the top of their game. Lauryn's old manager said it was because of creative differences. Lauryn herself explained, "I planned to stay in the group forever until I found myself wanting to express who I really am, freely and without limits." Going solo meant Lauryn had to stand on her own, and she did it brilliantly. Her first album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, was a huge success. It sold over 10 million copies and won 5 Grammys. What's amazing is that Lauryn was at the absolute top. Chart-topping hits, sold-out arenas, and a debut album still seen as one of the greatest ever. She had everything, so how does someone that big just vanish? No big follow-up albums, hardly. Any mainstream features, and the music world seemed to just move on without her. It doesn't make sense. How does a cultural legend disappear when she should have been ruling the scene for years? Something or someone must be behind her silence. Newark Entertainment claimed they weren't properly credited for their work. on miseducation and took Lauryn to court. The case ended with Lauryn paying $5 million in a settlement, but the whole experience reportedly left her deeply hurt. Combined with the pressure to keep topping her success, Lauryn started to pull away. In 2009, she told Essence magazine that she never really handled fame well. I had to step away completely. There were too many temptations, traps, and false comforts. I realized I was compromising too much for the industry machine, so I had to leave. Later, in a 2021 Rolling Stone podcast, Lauryn explained why she never released another full studio album. She said, "No one from my label ever called me to ask how they could help me make another album. Ever. She added that while Miseducation gave her freedom to experiment, the pressure to deliver a second album that matched its success was overwhelming. She went on to say, "After Miseducation, there were politics, hidden agendas, unrealistic expectations, and people trying to sabotage me. Some even used my album's success to boost their own reputations. If I didn't agree, I was treated like an enemy." Lauryn also talked about how men and women are treated differently in the music industry. She said men can often speak their minds without much pushback, but women face resistance when standing up for their rights. Lauryn fought for the freedom to create and live without threats, control, or manipulation. She's also spoken about sexism and even called out the IRS for hypocrisy. All these struggles reportedly led to her being blacklisted in the music world.
I think that what I've consciously decided to do is be patient and wait for those instructions again, as opposed to the instructions from the record company. You know, I can't, unfortunately, I can't fulfill their needs. You know, I can't, because it's devoid of all feeling. You know what I mean? I have to make sure that what I create, you know, I never want to condescend. There are a lot of people who condescend to the audience. You know, they just think, oh, they'll like anything. Just throw a beat on it and put your voice on it. But if it doesn't move me, then I don't think it's worthy enough to put out there and move someone else. You know what I mean? Like it has to be something that is personally, you know, is something that I need personally. That's my barometer for whether or not it's good for the people, not...
Just like many other artists who stood up for their rights, Lauryn was labeled as difficult. People said she didn't show up or was often very late, and she really was late many times. Still, she expected to be respected and paid in full. Things got worse for her in 2012 when she was charged with tax evasion for not paying $1.8 million in federal taxes. In 2013, she spent 3 months in prison because of it. By then, her music career was barely alive. Her reputation as an unreliable performer didn't help either. She became known for showing up late to concerts over the years. But if you ask Lauryn, she'll say this is what happens to people who don't follow the industry's rules and fight for their creative rights.
You know, my concept of successful living is escaping the matrix, as we talked about, you know. It, you know, it has very little to do with what people think success is. I actually feel successful right now, even though, you know, I don't have an album out or a video or a song on the radio.
Don't get me wrong, Lauryn Hill faced real struggles. The pressure of fame, the media spotlight, fighting with the music industry, and even personal battles like mental health issues, all of that was very real. But what people are whispering about now goes beyond the usual challenges. There's talk that Diddy might have played a role in why Lauryn suddenly disappeared from the scene. Not by doing anything openly, but through the kind of influence that quietly closes doors, breaks connections, and blacklists someone without ever having to say a word. People like MC Lyte have been dropping hints behind the scenes, suggesting that Lauryn didn't just choose to step away on her own. Instead, powerful people who didn't like how outspoken she was may have pushed her out. Now, this might sound like a stretch. Maybe we're reading too much into things and connecting dots that don't belong together. But think about it. Does it really seem that unlikely? The music industry is built on controlling images, feeding egos, and managing who gets to shine. Would it surprise you if someone as powerful as Diddy didn't appreciate what Lauryn represented? Someone who stood for truth and creative freedom might not fit easily into that world. And if that's the case, could Diddy have made sure she faced consequences? When you look at it like that, it becomes less of a mystery why an artist like Lauryn vanished while she was still at the top of her game. artists don't just disappear at their peak for no reason. If you watch closely, there's often a pattern. Some artists rise fast and stay strong, while others fade away without explanation. And when you notice who gains from that silence and who loses their chance, it raises questions. It makes you wonder what's really happening behind the scenes. Maybe we need MC Lyte to step forward and explain what she knows about all this. Until then, it's all speculation. But the idea that Lauryn was pushed out by those with power isn't hard to believe. It fits a larger story of control and manipulation in the industry that many artists face. So, what do you think? Could Diddy really have had a hand in Lauryn Hill's sudden disappearance from music? Or is it just rumor and coincidence? Drop your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. I'm curious to hear what you believe about this whole situation.